Hi guys, it's Nick here, and today I'm going to review Me and Earl and the Dying Girl by Jessie Andrews, which has been on my TBR list for just about forever. So when I got a WH Smith's voucher for Christmas, I decided to put it towards picking up this book. And I'm going to be honest, I spent about 2/3 of this book being really annoyed at myself for choosing to spend my voucher on this book when there were so many other books I could have spent it on. So the plot of this novel is that Greg has somehow managed to make it through high school without really making any friends. Nobody particularly finds him a friend apart from Earl, who he doesn't necessarily even consider a friend. They just bond because they like to make films together and they like watching films. And by the time he gets to his senior year in school, he's very happy with that and decided that he wants to keep it that way and just keep his head down and have a quiet final year at school and finish and never have to think about school again. And then Rachel, whom he dated once when he was younger, is diagnosed with leukemia, and his mum tells him that he has to be friends with Rachel because Rachel always really liked him and she needs a friend and cheering up. Greg is reluctant to do this because it's not that he dislikes Rachel, it was just really awkward when they were younger. Eventually, Earl and Rachel also meet, and then Earl shows Rachel some of the films that he and Greg have made together, which they haven't shown anybody else because they don't want to, and Rachel seems to really genuinely like them. They then make a film for Rachel. For I would say roughly 2/3 of this book I really wanted to give up, and I really had a strong dislike for Greg. One of the main reasons I think why I wanted to give up on this book was because I think it's supposed to be funny and I just didn't find it funny at all. I maybe laughed out loud sort of once or twice. I couldn't decide if the main character Greg thinks he's funny but nobody else thinks he's funny, so they tell him they think he's funny because they're either really nice or because it's supposed to be ironic. But then as I got to about 100 pages from the end of the book, I genuinely realised everybody does actually think Greg is funny and he's not funny, and that just really annoyed me. And it could just be that I have a very British sense of humour, or it could just be that I have been away from high school for too long. Another thing that really agitated me about this book was that Greg often refers to the fact that he is writing a book and will say things like, I hate this book, it's rubbish, I want to go and gouge my eyes out with a spoon, I don't know why I'm writing this book because there's no way you will be reading it now, or if you're still reading it, why haven't you gouged your eyes out with a spoon? And I know that's an attempt to be funny, but that just really put me off because I don't like reading a book where somebody keeps telling me over and over again how bad the book is. Let me have my own opinion about the book. Let me decide if I like the book or if I don't like it. And once I got to 100 pages from the end, I was so very glad that I read to the end of the book because those last 100 pages were just amazing. There is such a change in Greg. He sort of goes through this epiphany, and basically I felt so sorry for him because when Rachel, the dying girl, starts to get really poorly, he just wants to make her laugh, and he spent so much of the book making her laugh at things that I didn't think were funny, but she did. And then towards the end of the book she just doesn't find them funny anymore, and my heart was just breaking because he just wanted to make her laugh. That moment, that heartbreak of that just made it completely worth this. It was just such an emotional impact because by this point I'd decided that I didn't like the book, I didn't like any of the characters, I didn't care, I just wanted to read it, to get it over with because I'd got this far. And then suddenly, bam, I cared about Greg and I felt horrifically sorry for Greg, and I was so glad that Greg had this epiphany because this was the epiphany that I'd wanted him to have for the entire book, and he hadn't had it. And then he had it! Oh, feelings! So yeah, on the whole, I really would not rate this book that high. If you really wanted me to put it on a star rating, I'd probably give it 2 stars, 2.5. I don't want to say 3 because obviously I spent so much of it just being miserable and not wanting to finish, but I was really glad that I got to see this character have this epiphany at the end. One of the main reasons I actually kept going with this book was so that I could read the bit where Jessie Andrews' editor interviews him about writing the book, because as someone who writes a lot, I find things like that very interesting. It tried a lot of different writing techniques that I don't see in a lot of books, so for me as a writer, it was definitely very interesting to read. There were uses of lists, uses of chapters, uses of just, this is my family, and the main character just describes his family with a paragraph for each family member. And there is also an excerpt of the screenplay from the film with some notes from the author in the back of this edition too, which I haven't read yet because I don't want to read it until I've seen the film, and I do plan on watching the film because I have a feeling that this might actually work better as a film than a book. I'm really interested to know if you have read it and if you did like it, and I will see you again soon. Bye!